So welcome to the Cognio DesignOps webinar series. Today we will be going through user interface basics within the DesignOps software. What that includes is all things in building custom control screens for your AV projects. My name is John Virus. I'm a field applications engineer in the central region of the US, and I have the luxury of taking you through this demo today. I do want to point out this is episode 4 of our ongoing webinar series, so feel free to check out our previous ones. They are available on our website at symmetrics.co. We have some great past webinars we've done, some of those going into the actual hardware within Cognio and kind of the overall idea of why we created Cognio in the first place. So some great info there, as well as some intro into the DesignOps software as a whole. So if you're more interested in how to build out your audio designs, definitely check that out. Again, today we'll be more focused on the actual control side of it and building out those control panels. So what today's demo is going to look like, we're actually going to create a control panel completely from scratch. We're then going to map those controls back to an existing audio design. And then from there, we can customize those, give it a great look and feel. There's a ton of different customization options within DesignOps, and it's just a very great platform to build out great looking screens for your customers. After that, we will go into how to scale a design. So whether that is taking one room and scaling it to multiple other rooms in that same building for that same customer, or maybe you're doing a completely different project for a different customer, but we can show you how you can really reuse a lot of these elements within DesignOps to save you time and money on all of your projects. We will have some time at the end for an open Q&A, but also feel free to drop any questions into the chat during this. We have some other Symmetrics employees online as well. They will be monitoring that and answering them as we go. And then maybe we will tag some to answer with the actual software at the end as well. But happy to stick on this call and answer any questions you have. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get right into the software. Open up DesignOps. For those that haven't seen DesignOps before, what it is, this is our Symmetrics new control software, programming software that is used to program all of our Cognio devices. So these over here in our toolkit, like our new C10, C20 processors, as well as our smart touch panels. Again, DesignOps is built on programming a site by looking at it in separate spaces rather than a dedicated DSP, where you can build out these spaces and then apply what DSP makes the most sense after the fact. One thing to point out, and when we build these control panels, is this actually applies to every single device in the Cognio lineup. Traditionally, it was only used for our touchscreens to create the custom control panels, but now all of these devices you see, the C10, C20, C100, all have a built-in web GUI available to them, fully customizable that you can access with any web-based device. So for this demo, I'm actually going to start with opening an existing file. And we're going to use a typical AV system that we see out there in a classroom. So what you'll see here is I will click into the space that I've named Classroom 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will see a basic audio setup. We're going to keep it really simple in today's demo, and then again at the end I'll kind of show how we can expand to get more complex as you design these out. But for this example, we're going to do simple classroom with a instructor mic that they might be speaking into going to the speakers. We'll also have a media input here that might be that laptop in the room or a content device that they're using to stream to a projector TV in the room, again going to the room speakers. And also we'll add in a simple third-party control with turning on and off the lights. So you will see me reference back to the audio design. Just know that this is here. But again, we're going to mostly focus on building the control panel to now control this room. So going back to my site view, you can see over here to the right, the option for control panel groups, it reads 0. If I go to my control panel groups tab, you will see that this is currently blank. Basically, I just haven't told this space that I want to add a control panel group to it yet. So to do that, I can simply just click here to add a control panel group. Now, if I go back to my other tab here, I can now see that I've added in a blank panel here that I can now start designing. So to get inside of this view, just double click here. Now I'm in my actual control panel group builder. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit to allow you to see better. But this is now a blank panel that's been assigned to this classroom 1, 2, 3, 4. Before I start dragging in different components, I'll just give a basic layout overview. So on my left here is going to be where I can drag in different AV control objects that we are all familiar with. Your faders, your toggles, buttons, labels, all of those. These up here will make more sense as we go. This is actually once I place the control, I can easily access it again there, but you'll see these populate as we go through. These under these that I highlighted already is unmapped controls. We'll use those here in a moment. But to keep going down here, I have some basic shapes as well. These are good for layouts, being able to section off certain elements on your page. I can show those as well later. You can also use custom images with these very easily. Some icons as well that we've built into the software. So your common use case stuff like a microphone mute, speaker mute, up, down, left, right for maybe a PTZ camera. It's all built in to easily access to where you don't have to go somewhere else to find those. Over here on the right-hand side, if I click this button over here, this is going to open up a window called my modifier panel. What my modifier panel does is it allows me to modify anything that I might be currently clicked on. So for example, if I click on this control panel group header here, I can now modify this control panel as a whole. So things like I can change the panel name, I could change that background color, as well as I could change something like the resolution here. So maybe I'm designing this control panel to be used for something like an iPhone. I can match that resolution so that everything scales correctly. There are also a couple items here. I won't hit these in today's demo, but just know that they're there. We are able to run custom scripts behind a control panel group, so you can do some sort of advanced type of things, like we have the ability to make certain buttons invisible, for instance, different things like that where you might want to do some extra programming smarts behind it. Again, we're not going to go over those today in depth, but just know that they are available there for you. So we will actually start building out this panel. And again, I'll reference my audio design throughout here to just keep us on the right track. I said that I wanted to, or I said that I have an instructor mic and immediate input. So maybe for this room, I want to set up a volume control for that overall room gain on my panel. So I come back here to my control panel group, and I'd like to use a fader for that function. So I simply just drag and drop the fader over to my screen. Now placed here where I can expand its size. I can move it around on the page. See some different options now in my modifier panel. I'll touch on some of these as well later, like the show on all panels. For now, I only have the one control panel page. So again, we'll stick simple for now and then expand on later. But one thing to notice is I drug this out as an unmapped control. So this fader currently doesn't actually control anything in my audio design. So how do I make that tie back to my room gain? Do that and simply go over here to this mode section, click the drop down, and you'll see some different options that will be available for your control objects on the page. For this one, I want to choose a parameter. From there, I can now choose any parameter that's within that audio design. So we said we wanted to do the room gain. I can drop that list down, choose my channel 1 gain, and now that has been actually mapped back to my audio design and is actually controlling the DSP. To just kind of prove this out a little bit first, I will flip into operation mode. And again, if you're not familiar with DesignOps software, we actually have implemented a offline emulation mode where we can test audio and do things, for example, like simulate control of this fader. So now that I flipped over from design to operation, I can now grab this fader handle, kind of see how it would work in for that end user. But what I can also do is, again, just to prove that this is actually linked, I'll turn this all the way down, go back to my audio design, and I can see on my room gain that that gain has indeed turned all the way down. Bring that back up, go back to my control panel group, and I can see that those are operating as they should. One thing I did want to point out as well is the method at which I did this. I brought in an unmapped control and then mapped it back to my audio design. But in this case, because I already had an audio design, you do have the option to also bring in a control from your audio page. So if I wanted to, for example, bring in this mute button from my audio design, I can simply click on the right block that I want to put on my page. I can hover over this plus down here. Then you will see this option for control panel. Here, again, I only have the one page right now, or that one control panel group, but if you do have multiple, you can choose from that here. Again, we'll leave that as it is. And say I want this mute button, I simply drag, drop it onto my screen. If I go back to my control panel group, you will see that this mute button is actually already mapped to that design, so I'm not having to go back and do that. So we give you basically two different workflows of how you want to build your control screens. But the advantage of this with Cognio is, of course, you can build an entire control screen out and not have your audio design. You can always go back and link that later on. So it supports, you can build your audio design first, or you can have even someone else do your control panel group, but you're never wasting time building out these faders because you can always go back at any time and actually map them to the real audio design there. So again, we've brought this fader in, we've tied it back to our audio design. Now we want to customize it and give it that unique look and feel for this certain customer. So to do that, we will flip over from our function tab here in our modifier panel over to design. Now in design, this is going to give us all sorts of options to, again, change the look and feel of this and really give a unique experience to each different end user. This theme dropdown, I will touch on this at the end, so we will come back to that. But what I want to highlight right now is just, again, the amount of options of customization here. So things like cap style, I can easily just click, change my cap style to something I might like, increase the size of that with the nice sliding scale. For my colors, so anywhere that you see these color blocks here, you will actually be able to click on those. And from there, you'll have kind of your traditional color palette that you can go through and maybe find the correct color that you want to use. Maybe you like this green and you want to use that throughout your design. I can click this plus button here and save that color here. If I say, no, I don't need that one anymore, I just want my certain colors down here for easy access, I can delete those easily. We also have the hex code here. So if a customer provides you with the hex code, you can easily enter that in there to match the color. The other options available as well, if I hit this drop down, we have some things like bright collection. That's just a built-in set of bright colors that we built that look nice on the screen. Custom images. Again, this is a big change where you can actually apply a custom image to any portion of that this fader in this instance, and we'll highlight that again as well later on down. I'll show you how we can implement the custom images at any part of these components. Gradient is another cool one that we have built in. So this is kind of a fading of two colors into each other. Again, just a great built-in tool within DesignOps where you don't have to go elsewhere to get some really unique designs here. For now, I'll stick with the traditional color palette, and we're going to say for this particular school, they've given us their colors. They are blue and orange, and we're going to kind of keep that theme as we go throughout building this out. So for this fader, I'll go in for my background color and I'll apply that orange that they provided me. For the fill, I'll come in and give that blue. For the cap, maybe I want to give that just a neutral white. The cap detail, this is actually adjusting the small components inside of that cap. You can kind of see it a little better if I change the cap style here. This again is that detail color on that cap. I can change that to black there. Under our color options here, we have a ton of different, again, sliding scales, super easy to adjust these. Things like opacity, you can adjust for any component. For this one, we'll use the softness. And as I increase this, you'll see that fader just round out real nice. Very easy to do. You have things like shadow built in. I can increase this one, and you'll actually see that fader handle start to kind of pop off that page a little bit. Things like border, you can add that to any control. The track, I'll increase for this one. Maybe I'll change that again to another neutral black there. Things like scale, if I want to add a scale, it's just a click of a button, it's there. I can adjust which side it's on. I can change the text size, change the font color on it. Really, again, every single component that you add to this is completely custom to you. So a lot of different options here. We'll keep the scale off for now. Again, we want to just make this really simple. Maybe we'll add something like our up-down buttons. I'll make these round, change those to an actual up-down, change this over to black, and we'll call this fader good. We'll say we're happy with this fader, how it looks. It matches the school colors, and we'll move on to the next component. So with this fader, again, this is for our room gain. Maybe we want to add in a meter as well to show them a signal presence in the room so they know when they're live and they should be being heard. You will see slightly different options for whatever control object you bring out here from our toolkit. So for example, our fader has something called segmentation built in, where I can come in here and add segments to this fader, space those out. I can, of course, again, change all these colors independently. Maybe I'll use a kind of more traditional green there. And for this one, I'm going to add this glow effect to really emphasize, hey, my system's live. They can see it glowing on the control screen and know that there is audio coming into the room. Scale, again, I'll take that off. We want to keep it real simple and straightforward. So we're happy with this design, but again, we haven't actually linked this back to our audio portion. So to do that, we'll go back into function. Our mode is currently none. We'll choose parameter again from our drop-down list. We can go into that room gain and select the meter. You will see that that went down to 0, basically. I will also show this. We can simulate in our offline emulation mode, and we can actually see this fader bounce to, again, get an idea of what that's going to actually look like for the user. Before even having hardware, you can totally flush out your designs that way. So we have our fader for our room volume. We have our meter there as well. We'll call this good for our audio controls. But to stay organized, maybe we'll add a label here at the bottom. So we'll bring this out and we'll go into our design tab again. I'm going to change the text of this. We will call this audio controls. Change that text color to that orange again. Increase this text size, make it bold. Maybe I'll add a border to this one. Use that same orange. Background, we'll use that school blue. And we'll do a little bit of softness on here as well, 50%, round it off, and add that shadow again to kind of give it that 3D effect. If I go into operation mode, you can really see around these where that shadow effect looks really nice, getting those controls kind of up off the page. So we'll call that good for audio controls. Again, we're going to do a very basic setup and expand from that. So we're done with our audio. Now maybe we want to do our source control. So if I go back to my audio design, I will want it to control this source selector here to pick between my different sources in the room. So for that, maybe I'll use a regular button. Again, each control object is unique in what you can adjust. So you will see on the button here, you have options such as to make it a momentary. Also, there's going to be a state 1 and state 2. So that's going to be usually unpressed 1, 2 is pressed. So we will have to just keep in mind to customize both options of those. So for this one, I'm going to use that school blue again. I'll do my softness some more. I want to add a shadow effect to the unpressed side because I kind of want it to stick off the screen to where they know that they can walk up to that and press that button. Add my border. I'll use that orange again. And maybe for this one, we need to know what source this is. So we want to add some text to it. And maybe we'll call this HDMI. Increase that text size. Make that bold. And that's pretty good for our first instance of the button. But of course, we need to customize that second instance. So here we'll go to 2. And this one, I'm going to do the opposite color. I'll make that orange. I'll do the softness the same so it matches when it's pressed. But this time, again, I want to add this glow effect to really show them that they're selecting this source. Right, it's lit up on the screen. They know that that's active. Take off the border here. And let's add that same text again. HDMI. Use that. Okay. So now we have this button created. Again, if I want to test how this is going to actually look, I can enter into my operation mode. Now I can press this button. See, this is it unpressed. It kind of sticks off the page a little bit. When they press it, it has that nice bright glow on it. They really know that this is the active source in the room. But remember, I had 2 more sources that I needed to set up as well. So to easily do this and save some time, because I already created this button style, I'll just go ahead and do a simple Control-C, Control-V. And now I already have this, everything matches, my colors, all the text. All I have to do is go in here and change the actual text to something like, maybe this is a wireless share device. I'm going to change it also on instance 2, wireless share. Go ahead and do this again for my third. And maybe we'll just have this be our off state. Change that to off. For this one as well, I'll take it a little step further, and I'm going to actually make this fill color red for off state to really show, this system is off. There's no active source on it. Kind of just differentiate from the active sources in the room. But if I go back into operation mode to test these buttons, you'll see this isn't fully set up right. I can currently route multiple sources, or it appears off and these are still active. Because for these buttons, I still haven't linked this back to my audio design. So let's go ahead and do that. Go back into my function tab, click on my first button, go to parameter, set this up to my source selector. Do input 1, go down the line, source selector, my input 2, my off will be my input 3. Now when I go back into operation, you can see one button's on, I press another one, turns off, and that now has the right intended function. So these buttons are good. Before I move on to the next part, I still want to copy over this label. Again, I've already built this out in the style I want, so just a simple Control-C, Control-V, and come in and rename this source select for that section. And now let's move on to that last part. Again, going back to our audio design, said we wanted some third party in here as well. So we'll have a button just to turn on and off the lights in the room. For that one, we can use a toggle button. Increase the size here. Again, this one will have a state 1 and state 2 as well. I go to that state 2, maybe I want to change away from this default blue, and I'll use something like a bright yellow, again, with the glow effect to really show them that, hey, the lights are on in the room. I'll go ahead and add a icon here as well, one of those built-in icons for a light. Put that over the top there so they know what that function is for. Again, I want to keep my labeling consistent. I'll add one more here and call this one, call that room control. So now I have all my controls on the page. One thing I want to point out as well, for instance, I can see that this is kind of leaning to the right on my page. We can do things like we can select all objects at once, move them over as a group, and get them more centered on my page. We can do things like, say these buttons are over here, they're not lined up correctly. I want to line them up with my label down here at the bottom. We have these built-in tools. What I'm doing right now, just holding Control Select, you can use my alignment tools, get them centered up there to save you time. But we have our controls on the page. One thing we did forget to do as well, I forgot to link this back. Before I move on, I'll go ahead and do the same thing here. Select parameter, go to, this will actually be my button and ahead of my lights. Hit on active, and now that is now done. So we've added all of our control to our page. This is technically already fully functional, but we're still missing something. We're missing maybe that school logo we want to incorporate into it. We also want to signify, what room this is as well. So let's go ahead and keep adding a couple objects to get those in. So for that logo, maybe I'll use this square object. Again, I mentioned this earlier. I use these a lot in my designs for even layouts. These are very useful. For instance, if I took this over my entire page, I can make this transparent and increase that border. You can see, like, you can easily make a border for your entire screen. You can do things like section off certain controls. Use that a lot too. So just a useful tool that's included within DesignOps. But for this case, we're going to use this to bring in our custom image. Stick it over here, kind of in the corner. Again, if I click on this color block here, I have the option to change to image. From here, I can upload a custom image that I have saved. Then they sent me their logo over. I can open that up, and now their logo appears there. Go ahead and take off this border now. See that image better. You'll also always have the option to, if this image isn't scaling right, I can choose to fit. Now I can see the entire logo as intended. Bring this up here. Maybe I'll add a shadow effect to that as well. Kind of have it again stand off on that page. And then we said we wanted a label for the room number. Go ahead and copy this one over. Maybe I'll change this to just have text. I'll take off this background color, take off that border, take off that shadow. Change this over to our room number. So room 1234. Get this aligned with our logo. And lastly, to kind of bring this one home, maybe we'll change this background color as well. So I'm going to go back to my control panel group as a whole, my modifier panel. I can change this background color. And for this one, we're going to actually use this gradient feature that's built in. And you'll see that none of my save colors are here anymore. That's actually because this gradient is saving the gradient as a whole. So if you see, if I save this one, you can see that kind of fading done there. But if I want to use that blue, show you just that how we copy those hex codes over, I can just simply go here, Control C, go back to my gradient. I'm going to select this first color and copy that hex code. Now I have that blue fading into a black. It's still kind of hard to see over here in my fader as this goes from blue to black, left to right. We also have the option to kind of do an inside out fade. So increase the amount of black here. Take a look at this. And when I'm in operation mode, I might say, this is a good looking screen now. I've got the background. I see all my controls. I can go through and test this out. Everything was set up to actually control something in the real audio design. So we tested all that. Lastly, we can also even test this meter that I mentioned earlier. If I go back to my audio design, maybe I want to input a signal on this instructor mic and see what that's going to look like. If I go back into operation mode, again, if you haven't seen this before, we have a built-in signal generator inside of DesignOps. I can click this icon here. I'll put my pink noise, again, inject that into my instructor mic. You'll see these meters start to come to life. And another reason that this is a great tool is it's great for troubleshooting. So for instance, here I see that my audio is making it through my EQ, but it's not making it past this gain. I can click into there, see what's going on. For some reason, I turn down that gain all the way. I turn that back up. I can now see my meters, that making it all the way through to the amplifier. If now I go back to that control panel group, I now actually see that meter bouncing on the page. I know exactly what it's going to look like for that user. I can even adjust this down to check if this control is right, to where I know that this is actually controlling audio passing it, and it's going to actually affect the audio in that room. So again, another useful tool in DesignOps to help you, again, flush these problems out before you ever go to site, before you ever even have a DSP in hand. There's a lot of internal testing you can do here. But now we've created this touch panel. We're happy with it. Room 1, 2, 3, 4 is ready to go. We can actually go and start testing that room. But of course, as is mostly the case, they might have a ton of these rooms that are similar, and we need to create control panel groups for more rooms. So how do we expand off of this design and say we want to create now classroom 1, 2, 3, 5 maybe, and it's the same room functionally. I just need to create another touch panel unique for that one. All I do here is I've come back to my site view. I'm looking at my classroom 1, 2, 3, 4 space. You can just hit duplicate. It's going to make an exact copy. Come in here, change the name to my different classroom number, and you'll see that it's already added in a control panel group. If I come back to this tab here, I can now see I have 2 different control panels in my design. And if I click in here, all of my controls are already there. Again, I might have to change a few different things like my label here, but just some quick, easy changes there. You might also wonder, because I assign these faders, these buttons, I assign them controls in classroom 1, 2, 3, 4. So because it's a duplicate copy, you might think that this is still controlling room 1. But if we actually go into operation mode to test that, you can see that if I send this fader all the way down, I go back to classroom 1, 2, 3, 4, I see that this fader is not tracking with that one because they're actually separate for their own rooms. So this control panel group is already controlling this additional classroom. There's no ties in between them. And just in a matter of seconds, I can completely program another room. You can imagine you have 10 of these just going down the line, duplicating as you go, and it's just very quick. All of your control panel groups are already there. You don't have to go back and remap anything. It's already done for you within the software. Another thing I want to hit on is maybe you're not necessarily doing more of the same room for this one customer, and maybe the customer down the road has now contacted you and they want a similar system. You already have this classroom design and they might be putting in the exact same setup, but of course, when you show them this control panel, that might be, their rival school colors, right? They want to have this completely unique for their certain school. So we need to go in there and not necessarily change the functionality, but we want to totally customize this look and feel of this panel. So to do that, I will show off the custom control theme manager. Again, to get here is Tools, Custom Control Theme Manager. And here, you can actually pre-build themes into DesignOps to then apply to later designs. So maybe I saved the School 1 color scheme here, and maybe I have a School 2 that is now contacting me and wanting their classrooms done. I can pre-build this custom theme within DesignOps. And now that I already have this built, if I go back to this control panel group and say I want to change this fader to match the next school, I can just go here to my theme dropdown, choose School 2, hit recall, and it automatically changes to that fader style. It's already sized correctly. Again, you don't have to go back and adjust any of that. Do it one time in your control theme manager, and you can apply it across any project. Take it a step further. If I want to do this entire panel, lock this theme, this logo here. If I want to do this entire panel, I can highlight every component on the page, go into that design tab, hit School 2, recall, and every single control is automatically now using that other color scheme I've created. Again, you can do this continually. You get this third school down the road. You can set up their theme as well and easily apply that across your designs. You can even do things like, once you have that theme built, I can now drag in a fader. Or if you look over here at the top, I have this new control theme option here. If I were to choose School 3, when I bring in a fader, it's already going to match that style. I don't have to go back and customize it. I'm already building in the theme that I want to use. You will notice as well some of the custom images that I've implemented here and I talked about earlier. Again, you can apply a custom image to any portion of these control objects. So here, maybe you want to put that school, nice picture of the school as their background to their fader. You can do things like you saw on my School 2 fader. Something like a mascot is now that fader handle. Every single individual object can take on that custom image, and it really allows you to create unique control themes for your customers. Show off some of the others. Kind of caught a preview of one that we did for Infocom in Vegas. So even things as out there as this one, you can have like a poker chip stack being your fader, right? And die there being my button for my toggle button there. You can really get custom in how you apply these images. So just keep that in mind as you build these out. We really give you an open sandbox, and it's up to you to come up with some really unique options for your customers. One other thing I wanted to touch on, I talked about being able to reuse these designs across other projects. One thing that's great with DesignOps is, say I come back here and I do have a bunch of different spaces in my site. The first level of saving this design, say I have a similar project down the road and I already have 10 rooms over there. I just need something to match this classroom 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't need all these other classrooms. They're not relevant to that project. Well, DesignOps allows you to actually first level save the entire site with every room in it, but I can also click on these individual rooms and export them individually. So if I just want to bring in just this space into another project, I can export that, and you'll see it'll have a different file type here, cog space, and now I can import just that individual component. Another part with our control panel groups, if I want to export just a control panel group, maybe my audio portion is nothing the same as this classroom, but I like the layout of this. I know I want to use a similar control panel. I can export that separately as well. That'll be its own file type, CPG. Again, I can import that into an already existing design at any level to reuse. While I'm here, I didn't touch on this yet, but to add extra screens to a control panel group, just a simple plus button here. Once you add those, if I'm in here designing, scroll to the right, you can see those other pages. You can do things like With this logo, maybe I want to show that on every panel. Simply check that box. It's now on every single panel in the exact same spot. You don't have to go through again on each panel and drag that in and get it in the right position. Again, easily do that with the functionality already in DesignOps. Another thing with themes as well, you can export these. So maybe you need to share it with a coworker. Maybe again, you could have someone completely separate that doesn't do audio design. They can make this theme for you, export it, send it to you. That way you can start building your control panels with that. So again, just a lot of reusable components throughout software. Also, I wanted to point out that with these, I've added one control panel group to each space. You can actually do multiple on top of here. You're not limited to just that one. So you can look at this as maybe a admin level page. You could have just a user level page. Maybe you have an IT management page as well. These are completely independent. You go to that room, you can design these completely different in terms of function. Maybe one has extra features, right, for that admin level adjustment to the system. And you can add those on again. If you buy any Cognio device, it's going to have that included. There's not a limit to these, to how many you can add. The touch panel even, that's one that we've had previously. So of course, the touch screen has the actual screen built onto it, but it also is able to host those control panel groups to a web GUI on top of it. So just another added feature to those products that is available with Cognio. Last thing I think I will do, I will show another example file to just really show you how custom you can get with these. Kind of, again, kept it simple for these examples. But I'm going to go ahead and open another file here. What we built was an example of a mixing console. So my audio, kind of simple 9x9, and we made this look like a actual mixing console. But just to show you how custom you can get on these using images. For this example, our faders really look like those mixing console faders. Our knobs, if I want to interact with this as well, I can come in and I kind of see how that would work. Zoom out a little bit so you can get a better feel for it. So you can really get in here, use custom images anywhere, again, and create some unique experiences for your customers. And we're happy for you to start getting to use it. I know we've enjoyed it now that we're now in launch mode. Happy for all of you to start using it and showing us your designs. I want to thank you again for attending this. Feel free, as always, in the future to reach out to us for any help. I'm excited again to see what everyone is out there building. And we're here to help you every step of the way. Always feel free to reach out to your support avenue in your region, and we're happy to help you have successful projects with Symmetrics. So appreciate your time again. I will transition over to Q&A. I haven't looked at all about
yeah, John. This is Stu. So I'll there's a couple of them, but could you show us an example? There was a question about navigation between pages. Can you show us a quick example of how that's possible?
Yes. So let me come back here. So say I have a second page here and I need to navigate to that screen. I can come, say you can apply navigation to a host of different objects, but say I just have a button here somewhere and I want to set that up to page flip. I can choose navigation. From there, I can choose navigate to next control panel, a specific one, or then you can even select a specific control panel. So there's some different options there. But now, if I go back into operation mode, click that button, it'll navigate over. Of course, on this page, I could set up another button to maybe navigate back to that or back to a different page but that is how it's done. Instead of the parameter here, you can do navigation. And another one there is with presets as well. So if you want to assign that button to fire preset there as well.
A really cool option for the navigation functionality is, let's just say you have a control panel group of like 10 pages. If you drag in a radio button or just a button itself and do the command navigate, so you go back to that navigate, please, for the button, for the mode. Yeah, so go to navigation and then command. Okay, so control panel list. So when you select that option, all of your control panels are now on that radio button. So that'll automatically populate with every page that you have programmed.
Bring in the radio button, navigation, control panel list. For this one, I just had the 2, but that's a good way to, thanks.
And
Steve.
the other nice thing is you can go up to properties and select show on all panels, and it'll automatically apply that to every panel in your control panel group, which is a really quick way of setting up navigation, so you don't have to individually go to each page and do that every single time. So just DesignOps has been architected to be as quick with design as humanly possible. Sorry to interrupt there, John.
Perfect. Thank you.
The other question is from Bert. Hi, Bert. Is it possible to send out a string?
Is it possible to send out a string? So I'm guessing you mean with
Like
third-party control?
Yeah, third-party control probably. Yeah.
So you can do that. So one thing, let me go back. Sorry, let me get back out of this. Go back to my classroom example. It's easier to show there. But yes, we have the ability to send out strings. Of course, I mentioned a little bit with the custom programming behind that. So you can actually host a Lua script behind a control screen as well. But just a simple string. Maybe in my space, I want to add there's a custom script. You can also just do a basic logic event. I believe it is. No, that's not it. No, I saw it earlier. So send text, that's an example. I can set this to TCP, UDP, send a string out. I can then set up my trigger in here to my control panel group, and that's a way to send that string out. Again, if I set up whatever button I have on my screen, I can choose parameter and just tie that to that TCP send that I have. Right, and then that will send the string out to the other device.
The next question is, can we set up the ability to navigate screens by swiping left, right, or up and down?
Swiping, that's a good question. I know I've been asked before. People look at like a toggle button because everyone's used to the old iPhone swipe to open. Currently, you could use a toggle button, for example, to navigate, but right now it's kind of that quick transition over to, there's not really a way to stop that and barely swipe. But it's an interesting idea. I mean, and it's, again, we see it on our iPhones a lot. So I think things like that could definitely be added into the DesignOps, but not currently.
That's a feature request.
Receive string as well. I see that. Yes, you can set up receive strings. And again, we have Lua as well as our custom programming language that we can basically set up any third-party control with that. That's either sending out or receiving from others. We'll have a lot of those modules as well available on the website very soon. So similar to intelligent modules that we created for Composer, we'll have that same library built for Cognio. So we'll port those over, as well as continue expanding on any of those. And in the future that people use a lot out there. And yeah, I see another one under that. It's possible to get feedback from a third-party device. So yeah, same thing. If we can actually, when we're setting up our different custom modules, I have the option to say add an audio input to that. So then I can actually get an active audio input from maybe a Dante mic or something out there and use that in my custom script to again process the audio coming in and do whatever I would like to from that information. And we haven't done a lot. If you look back at our previous webinars as well, we've done a lot with the audio control, not a lot on third party. So I definitely keep following us along, and I'm sure we'll have some further talks that go into the third party control and setting that up yourself. Stay tuned for that as well.
Next question. Is it easy to copy scale CPG between different device resolutions?
It's easy. So it's very easy to copy things over. Again, if I'm creating, maybe I have an existing control panel group and I want to just add another one. You can easily import one you already have or copy that over to already have all the controls on the screen. We don't have something right now to say, hey, select everything and scale it down. That's another feature that I think might be useful. But for right now, what you would do is you just change your resolution. Say I went all the way off the page, but you still have that there available. It's not going to just delete and go away. And you can, again, select all controls at one time, bring them on there and resize accordingly. That's a good point, and something I'm sure that we'll talk more about.
Is there a way to navigate to another control panel group page by firing off a preset? Example,
yes.
Customer presses power up button and page changes automatically. So dynamic pages.
Yes, so we do have that ability now. I know that's a big request previously. Being able to, yeah, maybe a signal goes off. The common one I think about is like a rim divider for a combined space where they know the rim is now combined and they want to change what the touch panel is showing. That is fully able to set up. One thing I didn't show out as well is this tabular view. So there's different stuff like I can remote enable specific controls, make them invisible on the page as well, or of course hit that page flip to go to an entire different panel as well. Yes.
I think this is a great, I was just going to answer this in text, but I think you can answer this live. Can the Cognio control the Zone Mix 761?
Yes, actually. So Cognio, again, it's a standalone control system. Any device that we see here in our toolkit has control processing built into it. And because that Zone 761 has the open API available, we can set up things to, yes, have a Cognio device control it. It set up a touch panel interface, say, something that previously wasn't, that didn't ship with that zone mix, but now I can actually set up a touch screen because again, this can exist on its own and it can send control strings out to that Zone 761 and control it. So definitely, yes. And I would say, so we talked a little bit about third party, but you'll see some stuff from us as well as far as being able to control stuff like Zone 761 to make that nice and easy for you when that application does come up.
All right, so we're about 5 minutes left, and so we have some last questions coming up. So here's another question by Rich. How about something like SimView for operation on PC, specifically for Cognio, I'm assuming?
Currently, we don't have a separate program to run just the control screen. Again, all you have to do is just have a browser to be able to hit that IP. So it's kind of doing the communication in the same way, I guess. With SimView, it had to still be on the same network, but now it's just all browser based. And again, included, I guess SimView was already included, but the extra feature here is that again, any device. So no longer just the PC. Even if you need to get by with, your phone, walking into that room, you can hit that web address. I don't have that example here today with a live Cognio processor next to me, but what it looks like is you hit the IP address, you'll see some diagnostics, basic info there, and there's an option in kind of the top right corner to go to control panel groups. And from there, you'll see something really similar to this screen where you can go into whatever space you might want to control. You can also, of course, then set that up. We get asked about like kiosk mode for iPads and stuff like that. You can have a custom URL just for a space as well to just directly go to the control screen and miss the diagnostics. But again, all that's available with every single product. Just hit that IP address and has that custom control screen. But nothing quite like SymView at this point. We're going with the web GUI.
All right, I think we have time. Yeah, the answer for Bert is yes. We have an actual built-in control server now with all Cognio products. But last question, and then we'll have to quit the webinar, is can I remote into the Cognio offsite to make changes?
Can you remote into Cognio? So if you can't directly, unless you set up something like, say, a remote PC there, can't directly remote into the device. But what DesignOps will use is our AV Ops Center, which was already enabled with Composer. But what that is our cloud-based web control of the devices. So you'll be able to log into AV Ops Center or get updates on anything, like if equipment might have gone down. You can set up some presets and stuff like that. So you don't have to drive across town to unmute a mic or turn the volume up, right? You can pre-program some of that stuff to be able to easily access it. And again, get the overall health of it and know what events might have happened there. So AV Ops Center, I believe that's actually our next webinar as well. We'll be diving into that. I know they've unlocked some new features there, but we'll be using that we previously did it with Composer, same portal there will be used with Cognio.
All right. Thanks again for everybody who showed up and attended. We really appreciate this. If you have any questions or like to follow up, feel free to reach out to us at sales@symmetrics.co. That is .co.